Good morning, Tom. How you doing?
What's up, Rob? Super excited to be here. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, 8:30 on Monday. Looking forward to wrapping with your team leads here and helping them get focused on what's going to matter. So super grateful to be here.
That's how we roll. We get up early. Good morning, Danielle. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Chief Chief Baker Soha.
Morning.
So
Good morning. Good morning.
Soha sent me a note. I love Tom.
Soha, we've met before. I don't know if you remember this. This was like
Yes,
years ago
of
at like a
course.
Tom Ferry event. So very cool.
Absolutely. I remember. Absolutely. I've been following you ever since. You are the shining star. You're amazing.
You know, I don't know about that. What I do know is I'm focused on what's actually going to make us money in our business. And I think that's exactly what Rob wanted me to talk about today. So you're very kind. That means a lot. But everything we're doing, everybody can do. It's not that hard. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about real estate.
I agree. But thank you so much for being here this morning. It means a lot. Thank you.
Grateful to be talking to you guys. So Rob, am I good to go here? It's 8:30. I can just kind of rock and roll. Is that cool?
Absolutely. Let's get started.
So I see a lot of people don't have their cameras on, which I hate that. So if everyone can get their cameras on, I'd love to kind of see the interaction here. Rob asked me to talk about a couple things. And from what I understand, a lot of you guys are running teams at all different sizes. And I think this is going to apply to everybody here because last year in real estate, right? 2023, I've been doing this 22 years. So I'm sure there's people that have been doing it longer, shorter. One of the toughest years that I found in real estate, just with everything going on in the market. And what it caused us to do at our organization, as well as I think a lot of people, what's going to be your highest and best use of time? What's going to be the things you can do that are going to pull that profitability lever for anyone running an organization? This goes for like a two-person team, single agent, large team, brokerage, it doesn't matter. And what we found is that there's really going to be three things that are going to generate profit in your business. So I'd write these down. The first is, how do you increase per person productivity? So how do you sell more houses, right? Now, for our team leads out there with, maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 agents, whatever the number is, it's going to be a little different than if you're just trying to raise your own per person productivity, because you can't motivate people. And I say this with peace and love. They're going to do things for their reasons, not yours. And a lot of people get to a point where they feel good about their production. So but at the same time, if you have the right training in place, the right venues, the right coaching, you can get as much out of those people as you can get. So the first thing is, how do you raise per person productivity? I'm going to get into that in a second. The second one is increasing company dollar. And this is going to mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. I look at it as, what is the most profitable transaction we can do in our business, right? This has to do with lead pillars. So for us, the most profitable thing is getting a referral from a client where there's no cost to client acquisition, and they already know you, like you, trust you because they got referred to you. That's like the best deal to do. We have a Zillow Flex account, right? Zillow Flex is not as profitable as a Sphere client, but can I turn those Flex sales into Sphere clients and get referrals from them, right? So you got to look at where should I be spending my time that's going to bring in the most money to the company. And again, this affects a lot of people. If you're on teams, obviously team members are on a split. If you do a deal yourself, you're the team lead, that can be a lot more profitable. You want to figure out what's going to be the thing that you can do to have the most profitable transactions in your business. And the third one is hiring more people, because some of you, if you're like an individual agent, or maybe it's like a small team, you might need some administrative help. So you can focus on your highest and best use of time. You might need to make a hire strategically that way. For other teams, it might just be bringing in more agents, and you need more agents and literally an army of people doing business. And this is going to affect a lot of different people in a lot of different ways, but everyone's going to get to a capacity. So assuming you're getting everything you can out of folks and your per person productivity is as high as it's going to be, you're focusing on profitable transactions, and you're bringing in more people to bring that number up. That's going to be the way you can kind of ring that cash register a little bit and just constantly bring in profit to your company, to your organization, to your team. Does this make sense so far? Everyone kind of understand where I'm going? So this has been a guiding light for us over the past, really since July of last year. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Our team, just to give you guys some perspective, we got 51 agents on our team right now. We sold like 1,000 homes the past 2 years. So we were down probably like 16, 17% in 2023. The market was down 24, 25. So we beat the market, but that really doesn't matter to me. We're looking to move up, not down. So we really evaluated, all right, what do we have to do to bring in money? And it was those three things. And when you look at it that way, here's my 3 profit levers I can pull. Then you got to figure out, where do I fit into all this as a leader, right? Where do I fit into this as a team lead? And it's really what's your highest and best use of time is going to be the question. So I'd encourage everyone to take like 30 seconds right now. Can you define what is your highest and best use of time, knowing the goal is to bring in profit? So everyone just take a second to write that down. I think that'd be pretty important. And I'm going to share mine with you. My highest and best use of time is getting people to meet with me and getting them to say yes, right? So getting people to meet with me and getting them to say yes. And this applies to a lot of different things. It applies to taking listings, which we know listings drive business. It applies to recruiting, because if I can get in front of 4 people a week, I know we're hiring 2 of them, assuming we pre-qualified them and got them in there. If I'm getting in front of a listing, I know I'm signing it 71% of the time because I know my numbers and I know my ratio. And I'm filling in everything else with the team around us. And that's what you got to look at. What do you do better than anybody else? And how do you do more of that with your day? Everyone follow me? Because I mean, a lot of times there's really 2 concepts. So you identified your highest and best use of time, but then there's the whirlwind. Anyone know what the whirlwind is? Anyone follow me on this? All right. So if you've read the 4 disciplines of execution, Rob, I know you know it. So if you've read the 4 disciplines of execution, they talk about the whirlwind, which is all the stuff that goes on in your business that's like important and it needs to keep going, but it's not necessarily like an income producing activity or that profit lever that you can pull, right? So where I'm going with this is, for all the team leads out there, how many times do you get the question, hey, got a minute, from someone on your team? You get the got a minute a lot, and like you're clearly in the middle of something and they're just interrupting you anyway because agents can't follow schedules, right? So it happens all the time. There's things like, hey, I got a problem. I got a deal doctoring issue. And we know that stuff can wait till a certain time of the day. And what we've encouraged our team to do, which is a little tougher, is to work in and out of time blocks. So you want to avoid the whirlwind as much as you can, or at least manage that. So there's time blocks in your calendar when you're doing deal doctoring, when you're helping the agents out, because that's important. If you're bringing someone into your organization, you got to back up what you're going to tell them. You're talking about, hey, we're here to support you and answer a lot of questions, because a lot of team leads don't do that. They're just out doing their own business. You've got to back that up. That's not what I'm saying, but there's ways to manage that whirlwind. So for us, what we've done is we've created some very clear guardrails in our calendar. So if someone gives me the got a minute, I'm like, great, here's my calendar link, schedule some time with me. Because I'm not just going to be answering stuff on demand. And most of the time, it's not super urgent, right? Like the only emergency in real estate is when the house is burning down. And I don't know about you, but I'm definitely not a firefighter. So I can't really help with that. They need to go call the fire company. So we want to avoid the whirlwind at all costs. So how do you focus on that highest and best use of time? So for me, it's setting listing appointments and setting recruiting appointments. That's specifically what our team wants me doing the most of, and then meeting those people and converting them, whether it's a listing or it's a recruit. So with that, we've developed rocks. Anyone familiar with like rocks and specific and measurable goals? All right, so I see a couple of you guys here. So that's awesome. So we run EOS at our team, which is an entrepreneurial operating system where everyone's got key goals that they get measured on every single week. I'm going to mute this person here.
Hey, Fred, can you mute everybody?
I can't mute. Someone's at CVS, so that might be the. There we go. Thank you. All right, so with these rocks, right? And I'm going to show you what mine look like. It's like overly simple. Everyone should have no more than 3 goals they're trying to hit, because if you have more than 3, and this is everyone in your team, right? So for salespeople, it's easy. How many conversations? How many appointments? How many sales? Like that should be their goals. You don't want to mess around with anything else. With operations, if you got some staff members, it's a little different. with marketing, it can be a little different. Everyone on our team gets measured with rocks, and they have no more than 3, because the person that has 0 goals and the person that has 10 goals, you know what they have in common? They don't accomplish anything. So if you have too many goals, you're never going to get it done. So, and I can show you what I've done as a leader. And I'll just share this here real quick. I think I can share. I don't know if the host can let me screen share, but it's very simple. It's basically, I need to set 1 recruiting appointment a day and get to 5 a week. I need to set 1 listing appointment a day and get to 5 a week. And then we've got a team goal of a minimum acceptable transaction count this year is 700, and the stretch is 1,000. And then we have our 3-year target, which is getting to 150 agents, all making at least $100,000 a year. That's it. That's on an index card in front of me at all times, at my home office, at the brokerage office, and the team office, obviously. So everyone should have those same kind of rocks. So let me see like a show of hands here. Who's got their rocks like clearly identified right now in their business? So I'm seeing a couple half hands, which is okay. All right. I'm seeing some good hands. So if you don't know that, and one of the things I told Rob is like, I'm going to be super available to all you guys here. If it, you know, we can do some brainstorming around that. Rob, if you want to set up like another call, we can do that. But I would get clear on what are my rocks and what do I need to be doing? Because if you don't do that, you're going to be stuck in the whirlwind. And this hit really hard for me about 12 months ago. We had an agent on our team, and we went through some breakage, replaced our sales leader. You know, things go wrong for everybody. I'm going to be super transparent about that. And the member of the team said, "Hey, Tom, I just feel like all you do is firefight all day." And I was so pissed off when I heard that, because I'm like, man, that is not how I want to be running my business. If that's what these people think, I need to get clear on what's going to be that profit lever. So is it improving per person productivity, which that's what our sales leader, our sales manager is really responsible for. So for me, it's how do I bring in more company dollar and how do we hire more people? And that's all I'm looking at doing all the time. And I have it down to conversations, appointments, all that stuff. So if you don't have your 3 rocks, I'd imagine all you guys have like a business plan now. Go back to your business plan and see what those 3 rocks are and get them up in visual. And then once you have those rocks identified, this is where like the preparation comes in for your week. And we're going to do some Q&A at the end here because I want to make sure, I know I'm going fast and covering a lot. So you got your rocks specific and measurable. I shared mine with you. Then you go into your weekly planning, right? So when are you going to be doing the things that let you hit your rocks? And this is the mistake. And it happens all the time with teams because you feel like you have to be there. I know I've been that guy where you're taking the calls, you're answering questions for agents. That's a normal thing. So what we've done is we've instituted a little bit of a different principle around like problems and deal doctoring issues, which I'll share with you in a second. But we also, like, literally my calendar is, and I'll send Rob some screenshots. The morning I'm on the calls. We have our training midday for the team. I've got appointments in the afternoon. And if I don't have appointments from 4 to 6, I'm back on the phone making calls. Now, for recruiting calls, you want to actually call it like a different time. It's not the same as like lead generation and prospecting, but that's all my calendar is. And now it's been able to prioritize me to make about like 600 phone calls a week and hit those 10 appointments that I'm trying to book every single week. And when I do that, the business moves. And then you get this like follow the leader component with your teams, right? Because I'd imagine for all the team leads here, you ever get like frustrated, like seeing like the level of motivation some of these people have? Right? You're all lying if you don't. So I'm just going to like, it's because you know why? You're you and they're them. And they're going to do things for their reasons. But when you're in the trenches with them, and again, my superpower is getting people to meet with me and getting them to say yes. Well, that gets contagious for the people that want to level up, that want to get better. They see that and they're like, wow, this is actually working. Look at all these appointments he's booking. I'm going to do the same thing. Not everyone's going to react that way, but it helps. So I plan out all my call sheets for the week over the weekend. So Saturday or Sunday, I tee everything up. I have everything prepped and ready to go. So I'm not trying to get ready to work. I'm actually working during those time blocks. And I don't have to think about it. I've got all my voicemails recorded. I have my scripts ready. I have my target list. And again, this is listings or recruits. So I know what I'm supposed to be doing. All I have to do is go execute. That hour and a half of prep time, roughly, that it takes to get the week ready, it's invaluable because then you can actually just go work when you're supposed to work instead of spending like an hour getting ready to work, which I know has happened to probably a lot of people here. It's happened to me. So make sure your calendar is committed. And what that's also going to do, it's going to force your team to work around your calendar. You're not working around when they have a problem. That was a big change for me. So I even have like office hours in my calendar when people can come talk to me and they just line up. Like I'm not dealing with like deal doctoring as it comes in because that's a problem, right? So you want to have some systems around that. And what's come out of that is, so I've got my goals, I've got it in my calendar and it's time blocked. And that way, despite running an organization, because we all got our commitments there, I'm able to go and execute, which is super, super helpful. So with that, the last thing here, and then we'll do some Q&A, is in this market, or really in any market, having, not having these clear measurable goals, you almost play like defense, right? And I'm a big believer in playing offense. So, we're all with Remax. I don't discriminate who I follow here. So Gary Keller talked about charging the storm. If anyone heard this, if you haven't heard this, just Google it. Did anyone know the story of the buffalo? Anyone familiar with this? Perfect. So let's assume you're part of the animal kingdom, right? Pick your favorite animal. There's one animal that does things a lot differently when it comes to getting through a storm, because these animals are all outside. They got to weather the storm, right? So most animals will do one of two things. They'll either run away from the storm if they see it coming, or they'll stick their head in the ground and hope it passes and try to find shelter. Neither of which you have control, right? Then there's the bison, the buffalo. It's the only animal that when a storm comes, it will charge through the storm to get through it as fast as possible. So think about that. You got like this, let's say it's like a blizzard, right? And some people can go like hide in a cave, or some animals are going to go hide in a cave. Some are going to run away and try to go south. And the buffalo just runs through it as fast as possible to get to the other side. Does that sound like the market we've been going through the past 12, 18 months at all, right? So if you play offense in your business, and this is being like persistent versus being resistant, or proactive versus being reactive, it all comes down to those rocks. Because I know if I'm talking to 15 people a day, I'm going to book an appointment. If I'm talking to 10 recruits a day, I'm going to book an appointment. Now, it doesn't always happen that way. They come in bunches. We all know that. But those appointments, that's the leading indicator in the business. The more people I meet with, the more people we're going to bring into our team. I'm going to find the right fit. And the more sellers I meet with, the more listings we're going to take. So I would encourage everyone to start thinking about that. How do I increase per person productivity? What's my most profitable transaction? And how do I hire people that are going to level up our production? Get clear on your rocks, no more than 3. Pre-plan the week, so you're just going in and executing. And ultimately, just figure out how you can take control back in your business and play offense. Because if you do that as a leader, like attracts like, you're going to get the right people in your organization that you want. I don't know about you guys. I'm sick of loser agents that are like, oh, I don't want to make my calls. I don't want to do that. Hey, you know what? You can get the hell out of my company, because that's not how we do things. And when you constantly bring people in, you can do that, but you got to play offense to do that. You can't, if you're not actively bringing in new people, then you're not going to be able to replace the ones that you don't want anymore. Same thing with listings, right? Or clients. You need to find motivated clients, right? The D's, divorce, diapers, diamonds, the degrees. You guys know all the stuff. I don't need to explain that to you. The more people you talk to, the more motivated clients you bring in, the more you can get rid of the ones that aren't. And I'm not saying fire clients, but it's going to increase your odds of selling more houses. And all this comes down to playing offense and knowing what's going to move the needle in your business and focus on those activities. So what kind of questions do you guys have? I know I covered a lot here. We got a half hour. I want to make sure you get something out of this too. That's something that's really worked well for us. And we're seeing, tremendous productivity and hitting our rocks every single month so far this year. What do you guys got?
Quick question. Can I
Lay it
go
on
ahead?
me.
Thank you. What is your non-compete clause in your team ICA?
It's a great question. I had an attorney draw it up. So I'm in a different state than you guys. So I would go to your attorney. This is really interesting. So I'll tell you our process, Soha, because I don't want to, I'm not an attorney. I don't want to give you the laws, but basically it says they can't pursue any business from team leads for 12 months. And if they do, we get compensated, right? Here's the thing. When people leave, you can say the leads are yours all you want, but the customer may work with them anyway because they have a relationship. So instead of fighting that battle, what we've done, and this was a genius move by our attorney because I've been burned by this. We've done this, and I'll tell you how it worked really well in a second here. When they leave, what our team agreement says is that, and I would imagine you guys all have your people sign the same RE/MAX ICA, Rob. So it might be the same one we have them sign because I think the RE/MAX ICA is really like tested. So we sign with the brokers and they have a team. When they leave, they've signed a referral agreement on any outgoing business because that way it can be enforced by the local board. So you don't have to get an attorney involved, right? This is what it says. They're going to sign the referral agreement. If they don't do that, and I would talk to Rob about this more than anything else. The RE/MAX ICA that we have with our brokerage is that they've got to give 30 days notice, which most team members don't do. They just leave, right? And we can keep 25% of any monies due based on their split. So if they say, hey, we're not going to sign that, great. We're keeping the commissions. And that gets them to sign it, number one. Number two, the reason this works really well is even when people sign it, so we have them sign a PAR referral agreement. I imagine Jersey has the same thing. So it's a state contract, right? And we had one guy, he's like, I'm not paying you, even though he signed the referral form. So you know what I did? I went to the Board of Realtors, took about 20 minutes, and he had to pay. And it was easy. And it saved so much time of going through like litigation and all that crap. And if you don't think he told the other people on the team, because they all talk, right, that we were able to get the money we were paid, that put an end to that real quick. So it's more about the exit procedure than anything else and having like a doorstop when they leave. And having that language in there has been really, really helpful for us. And we've had no issues since we implemented that.
So they sign the referral agreement before they leave?
They have to sign it as part of their exit. It says right in their IC, it says, in order to leave the team, you need to sign this.
I got you. Okay. So they don't sign it with the ICA. Why not getting them to sign at the ICA level?
Hello.
If you left and you took anybody with you, you owe me 25%, 35%.
Well, there is an exit agreement in the team agreement, but what's enforceable, and look, I'm not in Jersey. I don't want to go too deep in this. What's easier to enforce is a state referral agreement than going through an attorney, if you follow me. And I would defer to Rob on this because you're the broker, but going to the local board and having them sort it out is way easier than getting attorneys involved, and it costs a hell of a lot less money.
So Tom, let me ask you, what's the turnover for your team, like on an annual basis, and how much of that is people that basically you're pushing out because they don't meet the culture versus, the one, hopefully it's a one-off where you have a good producer that decides to leave?
Sure. So I'm going to give you a couple different numbers because there's different buckets, right? New agents, brand new people. We get a lot of those. We have a 54% stick rate with them. We give them 90 days. Now, I'm sure you guys have gone through this. You see someone come in, they're ready to go, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I got to make phone calls. This isn't going to work out. So you don't really know until you get them in the door. So 54% of our new agents become productive, meaning they do one deal. Our turnover, our retention rate, our rock that we have around retention is 70%, and we're trending about 72% right now year to date. So, and that's everybody included, which I think is pretty good. Because there's going to be some people that you coach off the team, like you said. Some people don't make it and can't hack it. And so that's been something we've been really mindful of. In previous years, before we fixed a lot of stuff, had the right sales leader in place, it was closer to like 50%. So we've been able to raise that up a good bit. And we also, everyone's running a different business here. I'm going to tell you what we do. On self-generated business, we've basically matched the KW model. So, because most team members, they're just closing the leads you give them, right? I mean, that they don't know how to generate business or they'd be out on their own. I think that's usually the case, right? But then some people progress and learn how to do that. I'm trying to keep these people as long as possible. I don't want a lot of turnover. So we start everyone off at 70% on self-generated business, meaning it's not in the CRM already. We go by the timestamp in the CRM. We got a $20,000 cap. And once the team hits the cap, meaning the team dollar, then it goes to 90%. For the rest of the year, and it resets every year. That means they got to do 8 self-generated sales on their own. That's really helped retention. So that's something that's been a big plus for us. Does that answer your question, Rob?
Yeah. So, what's the goal? Like the contribution per team member? That's your goal.
Well, we want them closing team leads because we make a lot more on those. So, the self-generated stuff is to keep the people in there. If we can get our goal is to get every agent to $100,000, and if they're doing a lot of self-generated stuff, I mean, if we can make 40 to 50 grand off each team member, that's a really good number. Now, some of them obviously don't do that, but that's our intent. If we can get taken that much money on a team level, it's gonna make a pretty big difference.
Do you have like group, do you require them to show up and make calls together? Do you use a program like Sisu? How do you measure those activities?
So we do use Sisu. I mean, and you got to have some sort of measurement. It's been really hard getting people to show up to the office. I've tried all this stuff. Like, you got to be here if you want leads and all that. And what we found is that we have lead care standards, meaning everyone uses different CRMs here. I'm not going to get into all that. That's going to confuse people. But if you get a hot lead, meaning they're ready to transact in the next 90 days, you got to be calling that person once a week. If it's a nurture, that means like they're 3 to 6 months out. You got to be calling them every other week. And a watch, which is like 6 months to 9 to 12 months, you should be calling them once a month. We have standards around, we call it the big four, meaning every time you talk to a lead, you got to log the communication, put an intentional follow-up in, check the status, and make sure they're on some sort of property drip, whether it's a buyer or a seller. And if we see people aren't doing that, we pause their lead flow. So we have full discretion to do that. And we do a lot of inspection, Rob. And we kind of look at like, it's a weird thing because this is really tough to manage all this stuff. And we got 50 some people and it can take a lot of time. So we look at the agents who are producing, but we also look at like who's taking a lot of leads. And when we see people taking a lot of leads, we inspect them a little closer. Some don't take a lot of leads. You know, it all depends. So to answer your question, we do have like call nights and that sort of stuff, but it's so hard getting people to come into the office. I don't want to fight that battle. I want them selling houses. So we have one team meeting they come to a month. We do all our trainings on Zoom and in person. We got people live like an hour away from the office. So it's not like, I think it's a tough thing. And what we found is that if we apply pressure when they're not converting and we look at their leads and everything else, and when you're bringing in new people constantly, that puts upward pressure on them besides the downward pressure from leadership. And that's worked as well as it has for us. But you really have to go in and like inspect the CRM. It's a pain in the butt.
What's your infrastructure? You have a team almost 50 or is it 50?
Yeah, we have 51 agents. So there's myself. We've got an operations manager. We've got a full-time sales manager who was a sales agent we had for 2 years. He sold 50 homes in 2 years with us, and he had 37 years of management experience. So it was like perfect candidate to level up to that position. I back him up. We've got operations. We've got 2 TCs. We've got 2 listing managers. We got a 3-person inside sales team. And we've got a marketing department with a full-time videographer and a marketing manager. We're probably going to be adding someone to the sales side for like deal doctoring and like that sort of stuff. But we want the agents to be like productive on their own. That's where you really want to get everyone to, because no one likes to be micromanaged. So we can probably get to 60 or 70 agents before we need to bring someone else in to help manage all that. Just because the goal was to get them like you're using the resources and you know how to close business.
And in terms of, I guess, a standard, right? You have a hard time if you relax the standard because you said everybody notices if you don't pursue somebody who stole a transaction. If you allow people to fly under the radar without a standard, like I imagine you need to coach them up or ask them out.
Yeah, and here's an interesting way to look at this because I think everyone's a little different, right? And people are, just realize we're dealing with real estate agents here, ladies and fellas, and they're like gypsies half the time, right? Like you guys feel me on this? Like they're all over the place. So you got to kind of know what you're getting into. If we can get someone up to at least a sale a month at our size, because we're dealing with 50 agents, right? They're not like us. Like they're not. I was selling 90 homes a year for 10 years straight. They were all listings. They're not going to think like us. You just got to get okay with that. Because if they're going to be like you know what? They're starting their own team and they're not joining yours 9 times out of 10. So you have to kind of know who you're dealing with. If we can get them up to at least a deal a month, that's going to get us that profitability number that we're looking for, Rob, that we targeted, because usually they're all team leads. So what we look at is we basically have the roster, and any sales team, you can do this. You're going to divide the roster into thirds. But it's not if you have 30 people, that's 10, 10, and 10. That's not how it works. It's who's doing the top third of the production, and that's your top third. So if you have, let's say, you got 300 sales on the board for the year. So the first 100 may only be like 10 agents, right? And so that's your top third. And in the middle, the next 100 could be like 20 or 25 agents that are making up that next third. And then the bottom third, it could be, whatever the numbers are. If you guys follow what I'm saying here, it's a little different way to look at it. And we are constantly hammering the bottom third of the roster. We're thinking, can we move them up to the middle, or do we need to move them out of the organization? So that's how we've learned to do this, Rob, and it's been effective that way, if that makes sense. And I can walk people through this as much as you need to, but that's how we put people on a PIP plan. If you don't know what a PIP plan is, performance improvement plan, because we'll see people that are like taking a bunch of leads, all that, and they're not converting any. Well, that's lost resources, and you got to get those leads in the hands of the closers. So we're just constantly evaluating and looking at this, and that's why we needed a full-time sales manager, because I couldn't do all that on my own.
So Tom, there's a lot that you unpacked here. I also wanted to say that, when I listen to you on social, you talk a lot about it's the 4 of the 5 Ps, like proper preparation prevents
poor performance. Yes.
Right. If you think about that, that's so true, right? You have to, you can't wing it. And our industry is built upon a culture of people trying to wing it and trying to take a shortcut. And for the team leaders that have sustainable businesses, I think there's also a unshakable level of trust in the team leader. And I think that's something that I see just from the way that you talk to your audience. And the team leaders that are on this call here are all about building trust. And then when you have trust, it's easier to implement the standards and the practices that you're doing because they know that you care, right?
We definitely care about our people. I mean, like, the first question isn't when you see someone like they're not performing. It's not like, I'm really direct, right? I'm also from Philadelphia. So it's not like, hey, what the F are you doing? It's like, hey, is everything okay? And like, when you take like that approach, now, look, everyone's got stuff going on in their lives, right? Like we've all had our challenges. So that doesn't mean it's okay to like not do anything when you have that going on. But like, hey, are you okay is usually the first question. And some people, they come to us and they say, I want you to coach me hard. And I'm like, great, this is going to make my life a lot easier. So I don't need to pull any punches with you. Other people, it depends how you talk to people, right? Like, we never ask someone like, why are you doing something? Because why is a word of judgment. It's, hey, so tell me more about what's going on in your business right now. How can we support you? Am I doing everything possible to put you in the best position to be successful? And you've got to take feedback too. I don't do everything perfectly. And if people have feedback and you actually implement on it, that's going to build a ton of trust, Rob, to your point. Like, when you actually hear what the people are saying, because the bigger the company gets, the more you've got to be in tune with what's going on and have some avenues for that. And it helps that I'm on the floor doing this stuff every day and they're seeing that it works. Because I know, like, there's invariably with organizations, and I've heard this feedback from a lot of people, is that most companies, forget real estate, they say one thing and do another. And they don't follow through on what they're going to do. And when you have that kind of integrity around your actions, it does build a ton of trust, Rob, to your point. And that trust is going to attract the right people that want to be in that kind of organization.
So Tom is
Rob,
also.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rob. It's fast. So Tom, I have a 2-part question. Would you be able to share your recruiting strategy? And then the second part is the people that you define that.
Yeah,
I heard part 1 and you went on mute.
So Tom, let me ask you. I know you're speaking at the Tom Ferry event today. Would you be willing to come back another few weeks
100%,
here?
Absolutely.
And for all you team leaders here, invite your team members. Tom is going to rock it for us on Friday at 9:30 for our weekly mastermind. Tom, I'm grateful for your time, and I look forward to a mutually beneficial relationship. We got a lot of great people to refer business to you, and we're also in Southeast Florida and Southwest Florida. So if you have any business or dual agents, Tom, you can send them down to us as well. Thanks a million. Team leaders, if you want to hang on for like 5 or 10 minutes, I know you got to run, Tom. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, and so Charles, I saw you had a question. The best way to get in touch with me, follow me on Instagram and shoot me a direct message. I respond to all of them. I'll put it in the chat here. It's at Tom Toole 3RD. And everyone, here we go. All right, perfect. I'm going to send this to the chat right now. If you got questions, I can answer them there. I know Charles had a question. I can answer that. I see that Julie had her hand up here. But Rob and I are going to be in touch doing more of this stuff. So we'll, don't feel like you can't reach out to me. We're here to support you guys, and this is, I'm really excited the direction things are going here.
Thanks a lot, Tom. Really appreciate you, brother.
See you guys. Rock and roll. Have a great week.
Thanks
Yep,
a lot.
thanks. So if you guys want to hang on.
Thank you.
So what do you guys think?
Good. Great stuff.
So we'll have him.
Lots of energy.
Good information.
We'll have him on another time this Friday. If you're talking about growing your team, invite some of your prospects, the people you're chasing. to come on to our Friday mastermind. This week it'll be with Tom. That's going to be amazing. And everybody that's on this call, you all embody what Tom is, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be here. Because I can't tell you how many times, we come across people and, we go cross-eyed and we're like, they wouldn't be a good cultural fit for us. So we just take a pass. So, I care about all of you and I want you to have exposure to ways that you can make that contribution to, help your team members know that when you're giving them the medicine that they need, it's with the best intentions. Tom, Glenn, was Tom out at the CISO event or no?
No, he wasn't. But Rob, I have to say, I just referred him something about a week and a half ago. And I've done a bunch of referrals. And I'll be honest, like all of them are like, like they're not even internal or external. They're like, yeah, it's all right customer experience. Tom's customer experience is unbelievable. The level of care that they took with my client was off the charts. So he's the real deal.
And I don't know if Mike Gopi on right now. And Mike Gopi, I did a home buyer event with him yesterday. We had about 13 people. By the way, it was a great event for a team leader to do. And Mike said that when he went out to Nashville and he mingled with all of you, it changed his perspective and he came back as a new team leader. I don't know, Father, I don't know if he's on still, but I saw him on earlier. But that's
he was on.
But that's the thing that I think is magical. It wasn't about Gary Ashton, but it was about us getting to mesh and share that culture and how we can, crush it and grow together. I mean, if you take the skill set of our team leaders, and you can embody that in one person, that would be the best person in the universe, because everybody has some unique talents. So anyway,
Love it.
we'll get him on in a couple of weeks. Invite some of your, make sure your team members are on this this Friday, because I think it's going to be an incredible experience, and I'm going to make sure we deliver tremendous.
Have a good day, bro.
We deliver tremendous value, and
Have a great day.
Thank you, bro. You too, man. Be good. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, brother. Be good.
So we'll drive tremendous value, and like I'm humbled by all of you, and looking forward to seeing you hit your numbers and be was it the bison that runs into the storm? Was that it, Glenn? Was it a bison or a buffalo?
Buffalo.
Bison.
We have it. We have it.
Buffalo first, but then he said bison. So I think
Okay,
either
so
one of them.
either one of them. We got to run into the storm, and I don't think the market's going to bail us out. I think we need to keep refining our strategy to be more relevant, get bigger share of the market moving forward. So be on it Friday. Any last questions or tips or suggestions for Tom's next meeting with us? Was that helpful? Yeah.
Yes.
Great meeting. Thank you so much for doing this and inviting Rob.
And for those of you who don't
Yes,
know, I
thank
invited,
you.
we have Julie Vanderblue, who's a legend on her own. Glenn, you went up there, and many of us went up there to visit Julie. I hope we can continue to share ideas. I felt like we've kind of separated a little bit over time, but never out of my heart.
Yeah, we have to do some networking again. I'll have you come to one of our masterminds too. I can invite you guys, because it's amazing how much you can get from, my whole screen is full of notes from this morning that I'll be sharing with my sales manager. And you always get something out of these, and I got so much, and it's just I don't work at Remax, and I've got to say, your fearless leader here, guys, cares more about you than I've seen any broker about their team. And the fact that he's inviting other people in and sharing and it just speaks volume about him as a leader, but also about how he feels about your success. And it's just truly heartwarming to just be networking with you guys and Rob. So thank you very much for inviting me, and I hope we can continue and actually grow this relationship, because you guys are awesome. Thank you.
No, Julie, thanks a lot. We're pleased to have you on, even if you're not Remax.
Yeah, we all work together and there's networking, like we send, we're in Connecticut. So we have something called AIR, all-inclusive real estate, and it's all-inclusive relocation. So we really do a lot of relocation. So knowing exactly where you guys are, and Rob, maybe you can tell me the name, the actual town, definite towns, so that that'll be in our top relocation board for the agents. They have 37 agents, and we're really pushing because a lot of people are leaving Connecticut. You know, it's an expensive town to live. A lot of people are downsizing and moving. And it could be in your area. So would love to get a list, and we have 37 agents that cover all of Connecticut. So if you have anybody moving this direction, and you guys are in, how many of you are in New Jersey? Are most of the people here in Jersey?
About half and
No.
half.
Because
Florida,
that's
New Jersey.
also a network where a lot of people come. We have a urban to suburban division, which is all New York, you know, focusing on New Yorkers leaving the city, and they're looking in New Jersey, they're looking in Connecticut. So when we meet them, if they're not, you know, if they're, obviously I'd love them to buy in Connecticut, but I'd love to put them in your hands for New Jersey so we can, you know, have them covered no matter where they go. So really great to be networking. So thanks again, Rob.
Hey,
You're the
everybody,
best.
have a great week. And Julie, I'm going to let you know about our Friday meetings because Tom's going to be on this one, and your team is certainly welcome.
Oh, I'd love it. I'd love it. We have team trainings every Friday, so maybe we'll just join your meeting if we can. That would be great.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Thank
All
you,
right.
everybody, so much. I appreciate you all. Have a great
Thank
day.
you, guys.
See you Friday.
Bye.
Bye-bye.